to call this meeting to order. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the State Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, the time, the place thereof posted in the Department of Education, Secretary of State's office, and notice has been given to the State House Press Corps, the Governor's office, and the State Board agenda subscribers. And as a quorum is present, this meeting will now come to order. May I please have a motion from a board member? Thank you very much, Dr. Butcher. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Board Member Bennett. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And now, whereas, in order to protect the personal privacy and to avoid situations wherein the public interest might be disturbed, the Open Public Meetings Act permits public bodies to exclude the public from that portion of a meeting at which certain matters are discussed, and therefore be it resolved that consistent with the provision of NJSA 10:4-12B, the State Board of Education will now adjourn to executive session to discuss personnel and legal matters. Therefore, may I please have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Butcher. May I please have a second? Thank you very much, Ahmed. I appreciate it. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We will be back. We're going into executive session. Please turn off your cameras. Thank you. And your mic. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to please reconvene and resume our public portion of this meeting. Whereas, consistent with the provision of NJSA 10:4-12B, the State Board will now adjourn from executive session to resume the open session of this meeting. May I please have a motion from a board member? Thank you very much, Board Member Pena. May I please have a second? Thank you very much, Board Member Shahada. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. There won't be abstentions, but I should ask if there are any abstentions. All right. I'd like to ask Dr. Butcher, please, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, good morning, and I'd like to welcome everyone back, and thank you for joining us today. I have a wonderful announcement to make, and when good things happen, it's a pleasure to announce them. We have the confirmation of our commissioner, Kevin Damer, and it was a unanimous confirmation on February 25th, 2025 by the New Jersey State Senate as the leader of the Department of Education. And I get to say publicly, but I'm probably not the first, Commissioner, we are delighted to have you. My sincerest congratulations. It is the best news in the world that we have you leading us, especially at any time, but this time in particular. And I wanted to give you my congratulations. So thank you. I was. The state board meetings are accessible to the public for viewing on the department's YouTube channel. I would like to advise you that YouTube provides readily accessible language translation options in closed captioning. If you are viewing this simulcast right now, you can use the settings options in YouTube, and it has information how to attain subtitles and closed captionings in multiple languages. Now I'd like to please ask for approval of our minutes from February 5th, 2025. May I please have a motion? Thank you. Thank you. I believe that Board Member Bennett gave us the motion, and Board Member Dr. Butcher gave us our second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Public testimony. Our State Board of Education will receive public testimony today on Chapter 8, Standards and Assessment. Board Member Bennett, Board Member Pena, and myself are scheduled today to listen to the testimony. For the month of April, our State Board of Education will receive public testimony on religious holidays, calendar resolution, and civic event amendments on Chapter 32, school district operations and amendments to Chapter 27, which regards student transportation. And if I could, I'd like to please ask, excuse me, I'm so sorry, Anna Paskowitz, our senior from Palmyra High School of Burlington County. Her advisors, if they're here, Ms. Kelly Jones and Ms. Kim Marino, could you please stand? Thank you. So, would you like to please give us your report?
Thank you, President Goldenberg, and good morning, everyone. For an alarmingly long period of time, a stigma has existed around the discussion and treatment of mental health across the world. In recent years, this stigma has thankfully begun to diminish. However, there are still challenges and barriers that must be overcome to create the most accepting and comfortable environment possible. Therefore, I wanted to take some time to shine a light on the role of mental health resources available in schools and their importance in today's society. Students can face immense amounts of pressure from academics, extracurriculars, social or family life, and as they plan for the future. Often, a combination of these pressures can weigh on a student's daily life, and therefore their mental state. Recent studies have shown that among children ages 13 to 17, 16% have mood disorders, 34% have anxiety disorders, and 20% have behavior disorders. Some of the most common diagnoses for this age group are anxiety, depression, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And schools serve a vital role since this is where students spend most of their time. One of the most important ways to help students' mental health is by talking about it. Last month, National School Counseling Week was held to advocate for the need of school counselors and the services they provide. And here in New Jersey, we have some incredible counselors who are constantly looking out for the mental health needs of students. Despite this, students don't always use counselors as a resource, possibly out of nervousness, embarrassment, or because they do not realize that they can or need to talk to someone in the first place. This is why it's important that schools step up and spread awareness about the importance of seeking help. Some ways to initiate this are by incorporating workshops and other discussions about mental health into a school's routine and curriculum. Panel discussions or peer-led initiatives are a great way to create a positive, community-focused environment in a school. One thing that my school began doing this year was bringing in therapy dogs. This is a great way to remind students that their mental health is a priority and provides a distraction from any stress they might be going through at the time. When discussions about mental health and its treatment become a normal occurrence, the stigma will eventually diminish and students will feel seen and heard. With more general discussion over time, students can feel more comfortable talking about their own stress and emotions, whether that be with a counselor, teacher, staff member, or possibly even classmates. Another way to provide students with the resources they need is by taking a proactive approach to prevent scenarios where students feel the need to seek help. The large increase in social and emotional learning in recent years has been revolutionary. However, there is more that can be done. Teaching children life skills such as time management and how to deal with emotions at a young age can help students lower levels of stress and anxiety in the long run. Teaching empathy and communication can help students build positive relationships with one another and teach them how to be better people as they grow and mature. Even the teaching of something such as goal setting may provide students with the capacity and motivation to stay focused and on task. Incorporating these ideas into curriculum, especially at the elementary and middle school level, can help students start to understand their feelings at a young age and will translate through to high school and beyond. This will help prepare students for the realities of the world so that they are equipped to take on the challenges of life. Starting the discussion of mental health treatment and teaching about emotional development can translate into positive impacts on schools and their environments. By lowering stress, children can be more focused and engaged, which in turn leads to better prepared students and higher test scores. Furthermore, by enhancing social skills, students are more likely to have positive relationships with peers and teachers, which can also contribute to a reduction in behavioral problems in the school community. In addition, it's been proven that students suffering from mental health challenges are more likely to miss school. Therefore, when schools provide students with mental health issues the resources they need, absenteeism will decrease. Incorporating different types of mental health resources will make a direct impact on students as they will be happier, more productive, and feel more supported by their school community. This is why it's critically important that mental health remain at the forefront of educational conversations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well said. Do you have comments? Please.
Getting better at this. So I just wanted to comment and really kind of where you ended. And I really appreciate your focus on what it means for attendance to school, because we know that particularly coming out of COVID, students were not attending school as much. We saw chronic absenteeism rise across the country. New Jersey's done better than all other states, in fact, but that being said, we know that this is a critical issue because if they're not in school, they're not able to learn. And this comes down to the mental health of the individual students and understanding those core reasons for why they felt that it wasn't, they weren't up for going to school today. And this takes a lot of work for us as adults and for families to get a grip on that and what it means to help that student get to a point where they're comfortable going into school every day. So I really appreciate your comments, and I think it says a lot when students are seeing this and understanding what that means. So I just want to thank you for that. This is something that we've been thinking about a lot at the department, and I think you just put an exclamation point on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And actually, the whole nation is talking about it and thinking about it as well. So you're extremely timely. Thank you very much. Hearing no other statements at this time, we'll go ahead, please, and continue to our state board committee reports. And I believe first we'll hear, please, from Board Member Bobrov about the Administrative Policy Committee.
The Administrative Policy Committee met twice in this month. The first time was on February 11th to discuss the proposed amendment that the department is proposing as part of Chapter 27, Student Transportation. Since this item is on today's agenda as first discussion, and the department will be presenting the proposed amendments.
Thank you.
Wait, I'm not done. Just had to find the second one.
Okay.
The second meeting was on February 12th, and that covered Chapter 9, which had to do with professional standards, and Chapter 30, evaluation of the performance of school districts. The Administrative Policy Committee met on February 12th, 2025 to receive an update on the proposed readoption with amendments of Chapter 30, evaluation of the performance of school districts, and you will hear about that a little later in the morning, so I'll forego the remainder of my remarks on this topic. We also received a presentation regarding changes to state law that will necessitate amendments to educator certification and preparation regulations in Chapter 9, 9A, and 9B. And we expect that both items will be on the state board's venue very soon. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And now I will turn this over to our commissioners' reports.
Thank you, Madam President. Today, I'd like to ask the state board members to consider a ceremonial resolution designating March as Gifted and Talented Students Month in New Jersey. On January 13th, 2020, Governor Murphy signed the Strengthening Gifted and Talented Education Act, which codifies school district responsibilities in educating gifted and twice exceptional students. Since the law was enacted, an advisory committee was formed. This committee consists of educators, parents, and gifted education experts who collaborate with the department on how best to implement the law within New Jersey's schools. Additionally, both the Office of Supplemental Educational Programs and the Office of Standards have taken significant steps to support gifted education. The Office of Standards has offered multiple professional learning opportunities for educators in gifted and talented programs and has revised guidance for identifying gifted learners in accordance with the law. The Office of Supplemental Educational Programs has also conducted technical assistance sessions to help address key areas within gifted education for educators and school administrators. New Jersey's educators continue to demonstrate an unwavering commitment to supporting the academic growth and potential of gifted and twice exceptional students, ensuring these learners receive comprehensive and tailored educational experiences. During the month of March, we would like to acknowledge the substantial influence of gifted and talented students and educators within the state. We're pleased to recognize March as Gifted and Talented Students Month. With that, I'll turn it back to President Goldenberg.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Damer. I would like to please ask, before we read the resolution, ask for a motion and a second from our board members to read the resolution. Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Butcher, may I please have a second? Thank you very much, Mr. Shahada. And now I'd like to please ask Jeanette Pena to read the resolution in recognition of the Gifted and Talented Students Month for our great state of New Jersey.
Thank you so much, President Goldenberg. Whereas the Strengthening Gifted and Talented Education Act was signed into law on January 13th, 2020, and whereas shortly thereafter, the New Jersey Department of Education established the Strengthening Gifted and Talented Education Advisory Committee, consisting of 5 subcommittees to address law implementation, identification, programming, the intersectionality of cognitive and affective needs, and professional development to best identify and serve the needs of gifted students. And whereas the New Jersey Department of Education collaborates with the advisory committee, various New Jersey education organizations, and gifted and talented education experts from across the country to provide educators with technical assistance on how to best support gifted and twice exceptional students. And whereas it is the work of these collaborative efforts that support statewide and local education agencies' efforts in meeting the needs of gifted and twice exceptional students, so they are provided the opportunity to fulfill their academic potential, now therefore be it resolved that the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Commissioner of Education recognize the month of March as Gifted and Talented Students Month in New Jersey, and honor the gifted and talented students of New Jersey, as well as their parents, teachers, and school leaders who are working to ensure that students have the resources and opportunities they need to succeed.
Thank you very, very much. Now that the resolution has been read and there is a motion and a second on the table right now, I'd like to please ask all those in favor of accepting this resolution to please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Are there anyone who would like to vote nay? Please do so at this time. Are there any abstentions at this time? The motion passes unanimously. And I would like to ask the president of the New Jersey Association for Gifted Children, NJAGC, Ms. Elaine Chesbrough, to please come up and co-chair of the identification subcommittee of the Strengthening of Gifted and Talented Education Advisory Committee is here today as well to accept this resolution. Say a few words, please. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Did I pronounce your last name correctly? Yeah. Thank you. Would you like the microphone? And I have one with me. Wait, they can't hear you. And turn it on if it's not on, please. It'll turn green or red when you turn it
Flip the switch.
up. Push it up.
Yeah.
Would you like?
Many people does it take to turn on the microphone. My name's Elaine Chesbrough, and thank you for pronouncing it correctly. And I brought with me 2 of the board members from NJAGC, Dr. Lenore Cortina and Karen Howick. First, I want to say express a thank you to Crystal Signari and the Office of Standards for their dedication to gifted ed. Their support has allowed us to share knowledge with educators and administrators across the state, ensuring that more people understand the needs of the gifted students in our state. I also want to thank you for recognizing Gifted Students Month. This is a big step in raising awareness of the unique needs of these kids and ensuring that they receive the services that they need. We've made a lot of progress in New Jersey. through the Strengthening Gifted and Talented Education Act, and we fondly call SCTIAG, the Advisory Council. We've set expectations on identification and on providing services and programming for our students. Yet we continue to see gaps, and with resources and opportunities varying greatly among students and districts. And we continue to work to fill those gaps and to provide the essential knowledge. Gifted ed is a necessity. It's not a privilege. These students require appropriate challenges to stay engaged and to reach their potential. When we invest in their education, we foster innovation, creativity, leadership, and everyone benefits. I'd like to ask Lenore to say a few words as well.
Yeah, I just basically wanted to speak about we feel like we're making progress, but we don't know that we're making progress. And we were here a couple of years ago when the Department of Ed gave that presentation, and it was disheartening to see how the inequities that were out there in New Jersey, as they are nationally. But I think as we move forward, we would love to see that data analyzed again, and we're hoping that we have made progress in gifted education across this great state. One of the other things I would like to start to think about maybe and just start to discuss a little bit are teacher requirements. There are no pre-service requirements or any requirements as far as coursework, formal coursework for teachers of the gifted. So we're asking for specialized instructions. We're asking teachers to give specialized instruction without any training, basically. We do the learning lounges. We are so appreciative that Crystal Cinieri at the state has starting this initiative where we're having learning lounges, and districts are welcome to come to these workshops on different topics that will improve inequities in our state. But if you could just maybe start the discussion, start thinking about, we are always open if you have any questions to talk about maybe enhanced teacher preparation and perhaps endorsement standards for teachers. And then oops, sorry,
Karen.
Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Howick, and I'm here to give the parent perspective. As parents, we really do truly appreciate New Jersey has clear requirements for gifted education, but there is still a lot of work to be done to ensure that these children receive the services they need. I regularly co-chair a parent meeting for gifted and twice exceptional children and hear a lot of the issues that parents are experiencing within their districts. For example, some of the problems we hear that a district may only offer gifted services in math. Excuse me, some parents say their districts tell them they mightn't start services till 3rd grade. And obviously these leaves these learners without the appropriate challenges they need. As a parent myself to a child who is twice exceptional, I know firsthand how difficult it can be to have their giftedness needs addressed, and so they're not limited by their disability. We ask that the focus must continue to be on ensuring districts fully understand and meet their obligations to provide equitable access and meaningful services to all gifted learners. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Let us.
If I may, I have a question on that. It was really exciting to hear your conversation about the positive things, but also disheartening to hear how much room there is to grow. I personally started professionally working with gifted and talented a lot of years ago. We'll just leave it at that. A couple of you weren't born yet then. Commissioner, it occurs to me that there's probably, having dealt with licensing and certification for many, many years, I don't think I'm an advocate for getting licensing requirements for add-ons, but there's so many certification programs that are out there that the universities are offering, even the private sector, where individuals can go out, participate in courses, get a certification that at least demonstrates to the employers, the school districts, that they have in fact taken it upon themselves to acquire certification. Is there someplace we need to be looking for something like this, Commissioner? He hates it when I
No.
drop bombs on him like that.
No, I appreciate
And-
the
and he
conversation
should.
and this, like, obviously we're recognizing this, what we're doing here today is shining a spotlight on it. That's why we're doing this. This is not purely ceremonial. All of those remarks that were shared are about advancing this work. And I think that we've made significant progress in New Jersey. We need to continue that trend. And so this is part of that ongoing conversation, and we'll continue to explore all of those areas that were discussed. So I appreciate the spotlight that was shined on that. And I think that's really what this is emphasizing this march for focusing all of our attention on what's needed to continue this progress. So
Thank you. And now you have another. Thank you.
appreciate it. Moving on, today I'd also like to ask for your consideration of a ceremonial resolution designating March 3rd through 7th, 2025 as Social and Emotional Learning Week in New Jersey. Social and Emotional Learning, or SEL, is the process through which people acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, as well as achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. Beginning with the adoption of New Jersey's social emotional learning competencies and subcompetencies by the State Board in 2017, we've continued support, training, and resources that have been made available to schools to advance the development of these skills at a time when they're needed most. SEL helps students develop awareness, empathy, resilience, which are foundational for academic success and personal well-being. By equipping students with the skills to manage emotions, build positive relationships, and make responsible decisions, we're not only preparing them for academic challenges, but also for life outside of the classroom. As educators, we can create an environment where every student feels valued, respected, and empowered to grow. Today, we recognize our educators for all their efforts to foster social and emotional learning. I'm pleased to join the State Board in celebrating social and emotional learning by recognizing March 3rd through 7th, 2025 as SEL Week in New Jersey through this resolution. Turn it over to the President.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just love saying it. He deserves it. The resolution in recognition of Social and Emotional Learning Week in New Jersey. So I would like to please ask that we first get a motion and a second from our board members. And before we read the resolution, may I please have a motion to
So moved.
accept this resolution? Thank you, Dr. Butcher. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Board Member Bennett. And therefore, Board Member Bennett, would you kindly read the resolution to us? Thank you.
Resolution in recognition of Social and Emotional Learning Week in New Jersey. Whereas the first week in March has been designated as National Social Emotional Learning Week by SLE for Us and the Urban Assembly. And whereas social and emotional learning, SEL, is the process through which all young people and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. And whereas SEL competencies develop throughout people's lives from early childhood through adulthood and are essential to success in schools, workplaces, homes, and communities. And whereas SEL develops important protective factors that buffer against emotional, mental health risks by promoting positive relationships, emotionally safe environments, and skill development. And whereas research indicates developing students' social emotional skills leads to an increased ability to manage stress and depression and maintain better attitudes about themselves and others and school. And whereas building SEL skills such as self-regulation, positive relationships, and problem solving is an essential component to cultivating trauma-informed learning environments, which can help mitigate the impact of trauma, as well as promote protective factors for students to support them in their academic success. And whereas a stronger and fairer New Jersey that continually moves forward relies on citizens who exhibit the knowledge and skills encompassed in New Jersey's SEL competencies, subcompetencies, which include self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. And whereas the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Commissioner of Education continue to recommend school districts to implement the New Jersey social and emotional learning competencies to promote safe, supportive, and rigorous learning environments in schools. And whereas SEL competencies enhance educators' capacities to navigate stressors, foster positive learning environments, and develop meaningful connections with colleagues and students. And whereas SEL advances school, family, community partnerships to establish learning environments and experiences that feature trusting, caring, and collaborative relationships, meaningful instruction, and reflective evaluation. And whereas SEL can be incorporated district-wide within schools at every level of support, as well as seamlessly embedded into different subject matters throughout everyday instruction. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Commissioner of Education hereby recognize March 3rd through 7th, 2025 as Social Emotional Learning Week in New Jersey.
Thank you very much. There is a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any opposed? Please signify by saying nay. Are there any abstentions at this time? Hearing none, it is unanimous and the resolution carries. Thank you. And now we have the pleasure of having Ms. Elizabeth Ginsburg, Advisory Board Member of SEL 4NJ, and Executive Director of the Garden State Coalition of Schools. And Ms. Ginsburg is here today to accept this resolution. I know Betsy. Betsy has been a fierce advocate for students in public education for at least 30 years and someone that I consider a dear friend. Betsy, it is an honor to have you here today to say a few words in behalf of SEL for New Jersey. Push. Push it up. The little button is on the handle on the top.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you to Kathy, my dear friend, and to the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Commissioner for the resolution in support of SEL Week in New Jersey. I want to give special thanks to Kelly Allen of the Department of Education, who facilitated the resolution as well as last week's proclamation from Governor Murphy. Kelly is an SEL champion and deserves all the recognition in the world for this. I'm here yes. I'm here representing SEL4NJ and its leadership team, Elizabeth Hanson-Warner, Trish Heindel, Bill Trusheim, the wonderful Maurice Elias, Stuart Green, Christy Biedron, and Alicia Rai-Hawalik. I would be remiss if I didn't also remember former State Board member Mark Biedron, who recruited me to this effort and made invaluable contributions to SEL4NJ and SEL in our state. The good news is that SEL is happening in hundreds of schools all over New Jersey and thousands of schools around the world. It is central to curricula in countries like Finland and Singapore, which boast some of the most successful education systems in the world. George H.W. Bush used the phrase 1,000 points of light. I think SEL efforts, each one unique to its setting and community, are the true 1,000 points of light. SEL equips our students with the tools they need for success in life, in every aspect of life. As we heard, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. It breaks down barriers to learning, especially those faced by some of our most vulnerable students, and helps all students be more receptive to basic and advanced instruction. In short, SEL is integral to learning. Social emotional learning is not an extra or an add-on to the educational process. It is an infusion of hope in our New Jersey schools, as it is everywhere. At this moment, I can't think of anything more timely than SEL. Thank you. There.
Does anyone have any remarks to make at this time? And if not, we'll move forward. Kelly, thank you very much. You've always been a go-to individual for me as well. So thank you. Miss Allen, thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Moving to our next item, today I present to you information regarding the limited certificate of eligibility and certificate of eligibility with advanced standing pilot program. The presentation today will provide an overview of the pilot program as well as some of the key findings based on the data that we've got so far. Ambrose Duckett, Assistant Commissioner, and Paul Bloom, Executive Director, are here to present an overview of the pilot program and respond to any questions you've got.
Good morning, President Goldenberg, Vice President Johnson, and members of the State Board. Today, we're presenting, for informational purposes only, a report on the limited certificate of eligibility and certificate of eligibility with advanced standing pilot program. The 5-year pilot program started in 2022-2023 school year and will conclude after the 2026-27 school year. In this presentation, We will be providing an overview of the pilot along with a summary of findings so far for the pilot program. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the Executive Director, Paula Bloom, who will continue with the presentation.
Thank you. So today I will be using two abbreviations throughout the presentation, and I want to make sure that that's clear. So the first one would be the CE, which is a Certificate of Eligibility, and the other one is the CEAS, which is the Certificate of Eligibility with Advanced Standing. So the limited, I have to do the PowerPoint too, I guess. Forgot. Hold on one second. Maybe. Oops, did I go too far? I sure did. Okay. The limited CE and CEAS pilot program was enacted in 2021 with a start date of July 1st, 2022. The pilot program allows for candidates with a limited CE or CEAS to waive a requirement in order to obtain a certification. The pilot program has potential to alleviate some of the teacher shortages while allowing individuals struggling to meet a certain requirement for certification to become certified. Individuals who hold a limited CE or CEAS may only work in a school district that has been approved by the commissioner to employ a limited CE or CEAS holder. The limited certificates are only for instructional certificates, not administrative. This slide shows the menu of requirements for which a candidate can request one exemption to obtain a limited CE. They are the minimum number of subject matter course content credits, the minimum required grade point average, the minimum score on a commissioner-approved assessment of basic skills or core competencies, or a passing score on the New Jersey state-approved Praxis subject matter assessments. Okay. In 2024, a new law was enacted which eliminated the requirement to take Praxis Core, or commonly known as the Basic Skills Test, in order to obtain certification in New Jersey. Did I go too far? However, this law also impacted the limited certificate pilot program. As a result of the elimination of Praxis Core as a requirement to obtain certification, it is no longer necessary to waive the Praxis Core through the limited CE/CEAS program. The candidate is now eligible for an initial CE/CEAS certificate. However, since the candidate can only waive one requirement through the limited CE/CEAS program, a candidate seeking to waive a requirement other than Praxis Core would still need to pass the Praxis Core to be eligible for the limited CE. This does not impact candidates seeking a limited CEAS because Praxis Core is not one of the available flexibilities. These are the exemptions available to individuals seeking a limited CEAS, which are an exemption for a minimum required GPA or a passing score on the Praxis subject matter assessments. So this slide and the next summarizes some findings for the pilot program thus far. The findings are based on the 22-23 and 23-24 school years. The first item on the slide speaks to the number of educators obtaining limited certificates. As you can see, some educators hold multiple limited certificates. The top 5 endorsement areas for limited certificates are elementary school grades kindergarten through 6, preschool through grade 3, students with disabilities, English as a second language, and Spanish. The next bullet on the slide shows that 35% of limited certificate holders have a certificate in a teacher shortage area and are working in that area. The highest percentage of teachers working in the teacher shortage areas were in world languages and English as a second language. Approximately half of the teachers holding a limited certificate were teaching in the area of the limited certificate. Approved school districts may employ educators with limited certificate, but instead of teaching, may be employed as an administrator or educational services personnel like a school social worker or a school counselor. We found that the Praxis 1 test was the most exempted requirement for the limited CE, followed by the GPA and the Praxis 2. The Praxis 2 was the only exempted requirement for the limited CEAS holders. The limited CEAS and CE educators are overall more racially diverse than the current New Jersey teacher. One of the reasons the legislature passed the limited CEAS CE law was to see if it had an impact on racial diversity of the teacher workforce. The evaluation data of teachers holding a limited CE or CEAS indicates the majority have received effective summative ratings. In addition to gathering the data, we also administer a survey to the approved school districts that have employed individuals who teach in the limited certificate area. So this data represents the survey data that was collected in 22-23 from 80 school districts. And it shows that 84% of school districts that indicated they would hire more limited certificate holders. They also stated that 78% of them stayed in the position for the 22-23 school year, and that they would employ and have them return in the 23-24 school year at 88%. So this shows a positivity rate from the school districts that they do like the limited CEAS program. So with that, it concludes my presentation for you regarding our pilot program. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any data collected yet on how the students did with the teachers that took advantage of our pilot program?
So there are so few limited certificate holders right now that we would have to suppress the data because it would be identifiable in terms of the student achievement for those teachers. So we don't have that now, but as the number of teachers increase over the 5-year period, we're hoping to be able to provide that data.
What was the total
Board
number
member
of school
Pena.
districts?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I didn't see. I'm sorry.
What was the total number of districts that made use of it? Because apparently districts have to apply. So was 80 the total?
In 22-23.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Do you have any data on how many of the applicants were looking for an exception to be able to teach, math, science, those very difficult teaching positions to staff for?
Yes, I don't think I have that with me currently, but we can certainly provide a full idea of every certificate that was issued. We have that.
Thank you.
Yep.
More a comment than a question, but something that leads into future development. These stats on teacher retention are incredible.
I'm sorry?
The stats you have here for teacher retention after year 1 are
Yes.
incredible.
Yep.
The beginning teacher induction center at Rowan fell under my administrative jurisdiction, and I'm familiar with the data and how difficult it is to keep teachers into a retention basis. These numbers are off the chart.
Yes,
So,
we were very happy with this.
Hang on to that and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Are there more questions or comments at this time? Fascinating. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Thank you. And with that, we're ready to move into items for consideration. Our standing item A for appointments. There are no appointments today, so we'll move right along to item B, another standing item on the agenda, certification of school districts. Likewise, there are no districts for certification this month, so we will move right along into agenda item C. And today I'm pleased to announce that Miss Valerie Amendeloro has generously donated $25,000 for the sole use of supporting student activities such as field trips, yearbooks, and student clubs at the Marie H. Katzenbach School for the Deaf. Ms. Kathy Ailing, Assistant Commissioner, is here to provide any additional details or answer any questions you might have.
Such a generous gift. Hearing no questions at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to accept the donated funds as presented a moment ago. Thank you. Thank you very much. Second from Jeanette. For primary motion was from Ahmed Shahada. Thank you. Is there any discussion? No. All right. All those in favor of accepting the donation, please signify this by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please signify by saying nay. Any abstentions? Anyone have a conflict of interest? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you, Kath.
Move into agenda item D, religious holiday calendar resolution. Today, I'm presenting for discussion a resolution that provides the list of religious holidays permitting student absence from school for the 2025-2026 school year. The resolution acknowledges that some dates may vary due to differences in the lunar, Gregorian, and Julian calendars. Once adopted, the list of religious holidays will be distributed to districts and charter schools and will be posted on the department's website. Mr. Ambrose Duckett and Robert Gregory, Executive Director, are here to answer any questions. And I think the headline here is that we haven't changed, added or subtracted any holidays from the prior year calendar.
Correct. Thank you, Commissioner. The list of religious holidays requires districts to excuse students for religious observance upon written request of the parent and/or guardian. The list of religious holidays is a resolution annually adopted by the State Board of Education. And to date, as the Commissioner mentioned, we have no additional holidays to the 2025-2026 calendar. Are there any questions? Yes.
The terminology utilized is the parents will provide a written request. I think request asks for an answer, maybe yes or no. So I guess my fear is that using the word request, it should be a written announcement or notification. Yeah, because it isn't up to the district. If we vote on this, if it is accepted, it must be accepted by, that's just my thought. I don't know if anyone agrees or disagrees, but.
Notification it is.
Thank you. Are there any other thoughts or questions no, not at this time. Okay. Thank you very much. We will, there will be no vote on this, sir, until May.
Right.
And we will have the resolution up for public comment next month in April for anyone who would like to give us their thoughts. So thank you very much.
These two gentlemen are going to stay for agenda item E, evaluation of the performance of school districts. Today, I'm presenting for adoption, the readoption with amendments of Chapter 30, evaluation of the performance of school districts. This chapter establishes a comprehensive single accountability system for monitoring and evaluating school districts called the New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum, or NJQSAC. Under NJQSAC, school districts are evaluated in 5 key component areas of school district effectiveness. The appendices of this chapter establish the standards and criteria used to evaluate school districts and county special service school districts in the areas of instruction and program, fiscal management, governance, personnel, and operations. Once again, Mr. Ambrose Duckett and Robert Gregory are here to walk us through this presentation.
President Goldenberg, I'm going to recuse myself and step outside the room for this.
Thank you. I'll come get you after. Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning again, President Goldenberg, board members, state board members. Robert Gregory and I are here to provide a summary of comments the department received since proposal level regarding Chapter 30 and 6 non-substantive changes that the department is making at adoption level. Since proposal, the department received 89 comments from 22 commenters regarding the proposed amendments of Chapter 30. As noted on this slide, most of the comments came from district administrators, school library media specialists, and education associations, all of whom provided comments in support of the department's proposed amendments. Comments in support centered around amendments at the IMP, which is Instruction and Program District Performance Review, that shift points from achievement indicators to growth indicators, while rebalancing points to ensure our evaluation of a school district's effectiveness is equitable, regardless of the district's grade configuration. One superintendent described the IMP, Instruction Program Amendments, at indicators 1 through 5 as a shift towards a growth-oriented accountability system. Commenters also appreciated our responsiveness to their concerns voiced throughout the regulatory process. As an example, school library media specialists expressed gratitude for the agency-initiated change at Governance Indicator 14, approved by the state board at proposal level, which clarifies a requirement that school districts provide library media services in each school building under the direction of an SLMS, and that's a school library media specialist. Other comments received since proposal level saw clarification on processes within the chapter or where requests that did not warrant amendments, such as, can a school district replace one low achieving district performance review area with a high performing area? Or could we eliminate state assessments as an indicator for instruction and program district performance review? The department responded accordingly, providing commenters with clarification of provisions within the chapter when warranted or a rationale for denial of their proposed amendments. Based on the comments, the department is recommending 3 non-substantive changes. Additionally, the department is making 3 non-substantive agency-initiated changes summarized on the next slide. The department's non-substantive changes include our punctuation changes to improve clarity, grammatical and non-substantive word changes to improve clarity, and sentence structure and clarification on statutory citations. And at this point, Robert Gregory and I are happy to respond to any questions that the board may have.
Any questions from our board members? Please let me know that you'd like to speak. Hearing none. I would like to please ask for a motion. Thank you very much, Board Member Pena. May I please have a second? Thank you very much, Board Member Bennett. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I think we should get. We can abstain officially. He can't vote. We can abstain. Can he recuse himself if he can't vote? Oh, can he abstain? If he's recusing himself? No? Okay, never mind. All those in favor, we've said aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions at this time? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Board President.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
State Board of Education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Don't know where he is. Feel free to stand and stretch for a moment. Thank you so much. So now we'll proceed to our next discussion point.
We are moving into item F, standards and assessments, second discussion. And as mentioned, I'd like to present for second discussion, the readoption with amendments for Chapter 8, Standards and Assessment. This chapter addresses the New Jersey student learning standards and state assessments, among other critical components of our state's educational system. Dr. Jordan Schiff and Ms. Lisa Haberl, Executive Director, will go through the proposed amendments that we discussed in the first discussion in February and recap the rationale behind them and share how the department has been continuing to be responsive to this landscape and share an update on public comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, President Goldenberg, Vice President Johnson, and members of the State Board of Education. We are pleased to join you this morning to engage in a second discussion regarding New Jersey Administrative Code, Chapter 6A:8, Standards and Assessment. As you may recall from the first discussion last month, the chapter which implements the New Jersey Student Learning Standards and the statewide assessment system is scheduled to expire on May 3rd, 2025.
Last month, we shared with you proposed amendments to streamline and clarify rules, procedures, and operations, and update terminology and rules to align to provisions throughout Title 6A of the New Jersey Administrative Code, Title 18A of New Jersey statutes, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Rules that were effective during a limited time frame or referencing defunct programs were proposed for deletion as well. The proposal focuses on enhancing the alignment of instruction to student needs, ensuring instructional programs are designed and delivered to serve all students and meet their unique needs. There is also a proposed emphasis on increasing access to advanced coursework and underscoring the development of civic responsibility and information literacy.
A renewed focus is the preparation of students for the modern workplace and more broadly, post-secondary success. The proposed revisions strengthen career readiness through a focus on career counseling, work-based learning, and dual enrollment programs. The proposed amendments also provide clarity around authentic learning experiences and individual student learning opportunities. Continuous improvement is also a goal of this proposal package. This includes an introduction of accountability measures like a corrective action plan for noncompliance with the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, professional development requirements as required by law, and the regular use of disaggregated data to monitor and improve student outcomes.
The public comment period opened last month with first discussion on February 5th. Please note that 2 comments were received just yesterday. We are still accepting comments throughout the next few months, and the board will be receiving oral testimony this afternoon.
We thank you for your time and attention, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have about this chapter and the proposal. Thank you.
Questions at this time from our board members? Okay.
Forward to hearing the public testimony this afternoon. I'll probably have more to say afterwards.
Me too.
All right. Hearing no other questions or comments at this time, we can go ahead then and discuss student transportation, but thank you very much. I know you've been working very hard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Lisa. Moving into agenda item G. Today, I'd like to present at first discussion proposed amendments and new rules to Chapter 27, Student Transportation. The chapter establishes provisions for ensuring the safe transportation of students to and from school and school-related activities. The subchapters proposed for amendment and new rules address exceptions to the requirement for vehicles and drivers transporting students in small vehicles under certain circumstances, and a consortium for the transportation of non-public school students. David Corso, Assistant Commissioner, and Alan Dupree, Executive Director, I think.
President Goldenberg, I'm gonna
Yes, sir.
again recuse myself.
We'll take it away with a presentation of the changes.
Good morning, State Board members. I'm here to present amendments to Chapter 27, the Student Transportation Regulations. So this chapter's purpose is to ensure the safe and efficient transportation of students to and from school and school-related activities. We are proposing amendments in 3 areas. One amendment, Section 2.1, will clarify the calculation of aid in lieu payments for non-public students. The second proposed amendment at Section 7.6 will effectuate a Public Law 2024, Chapter 81, which was passed last year, which allows school districts to designate school personnel to drive students to and from school in a private or district-owned vehicle while exempting them from certifications and the standards that apply to school buses and drivers. And the third amendment is proposed new subchapter 14, which will establish procedures needed to implement non-public school consortium transportation programs, and that was established by Public Law 2023, Chapter 326. So the first amendment, which is to clarify the current rule for aid in lieu payments, and basically what that is doing is prorating the aid in lieu payment for students who are registered for less than a full year, which is 1 times 180 day times the number of days remaining. So in other words, what we're doing is we're clarifying that if a student leaves during the school year or comes during the school year, the aid in lieu payment will be prorated.
Good.
The amendments for Public Law 2024, Chapter 81 allow districts to designate school personnel who are not licensed as school bus drivers to transport the students between their home and the school in a vehicle with a capacity of 8 or fewer passengers, excluding the driver. The new rules will accomplish the following. It'll require districts to adopt the policy and requirements for driver eligibility. It'll establish a process for districts to submit a list of drivers and their qualifications to our county office by July 15th. And it ensures that the vehicles used for transporting students meet federal and state standards. So in terms of driver eligibility, the new rules list the requirements of a driver must meet to be eligible as a designated driver under this section. So drivers must be employed by the district at least 21 years old, have passed a New Jersey driver's license, has possessed, a New Jersey driver's license for at least 3 years. They will be required to receive basic safety training in accordance with the law that governs safety training. It's up there. And training for interacting with students with disabilities in accordance to that law. You have to provide documentation of a physical exam, criminal history check, child abuse record, and driving record for the previous 5 years, driver abstract. And it's got to provide written consent for the district to access their driving record on a monthly basis. So this slide will delineates the vehicle requirements. You must have a capacity of 8 or fewer passengers, excluding the driver. May be a private vehicle or a district-owned vehicle. Are exempt from the inspection, maintenance, and other standard requirements that apply to school buses, unless they are used for transporting students for other purposes. Must meet all the requirements of federal and state standards, and requirements specific to the vehicle in accordance with the transport for special ed students for their transported IEPs. So if there's IEPs, if transportation is required in the IEP, they must meet those requirements. And the last proposed amendment is for subchapter 14. What subchapter 14, what the public law did is it established a 3-year non-public consortium transportation program. And the rules that are required to accomplish this are as follows. The regulations establish eligibility for participating in the consortium program. It establishes requirements for all affected parties, the consortium, the school district, the non-public schools, the parents, the county offices, and the oversight committee. And it ensures accountability in the consortium's transportation program's implementation through procedural oversight. So the consortium assumes school district response. The consortium will be assuming the school district's requirements for transporting and payment for member non-public school students. Districts that choose to participate in the consortium maintain responsibility for this for state reporting of eligible students. That's through our DRTRS system, and general oversight over the transportation provided to their resident non-public school students. Each consortium must have a 5-person commissioner-appointed oversight committee that will monitor the consortium's operations. Consortium members. The consortium members are responsibilities. The responsibilities for non-public schools and non-public school parents are similar to those similar to those for non-public members. Sorry, except that member non-public schools and parents will interact with the consortium rather than directly with the school district, so that the school district will not be interacting with the non-publics the way it is now. They'll end up. Sorry,
That's okay.
They'll end up working directly with the consortium, so it takes the school district out of the process. Member non-public schools must disperse, collect, verify the accuracy of the student transportation applications. Member non-public school parents must complete the application for the transportation and payment vouchers and pay the actual cost if their children is not eligible for the transportation services, but is provided subscription busing by the consortium. Thank you.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
take any questions you have about transportation.
Dr. Butchers first.
Glad you clarified about transportation. I had a lot of questions.
Okay.
Now I have to limit it to this, right? Personal comments. Under vehicle requirements, tell me about the inspection and criteria for a smaller vehicle that's eligible for the program, and what kind of inspection they have to go through to make sure the vehicle is functional. And I'll tell you why I'm asking. You go through motor vehicles right now with your own personal vehicle, and it's private comment, kind of a joke what they do when you go through for reinspection.
That's all they need to do.
That's all they need to do.
Correct.
So as long as they go through DMV.
Correct.
Get that inspection for the vehicle.
Yes. So in a school district, for buses, vans, they have their own vehicle inspection. In fact, the DMV comes out to the district before school starts and inspects the vans, inspects the buses. This law allows that to go away for personal use vehicles, and they only have to go through the New Jersey inspection that you would go through.
I personally believe that's a problem, because I'm not happy with the DMV's certification. I've had the opportunity to go through, an example, Vermont's inspection system. It's 10 times more rigorous. When that car comes out the other end, it is in good shape. There's so many potentials for error when that vehicle goes through what New Jersey does, just raising an alert and a concern that I have regarding that. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have Board Member Pena with the question, and then we have Board Member Bennett with the third question or comment.
Thank you. So I actually have 2 questions. Do you know how many consortiums we currently have
We currently have one consortium. It's the Lakewood Consortium. It was established by its own legislation. The 3 districts that participate in the Lakewood Transportation Consortium are Jackson, Lakewood, Toms River.
And how many I know this is very specific. I was just curious, how many people actually take advantage of it? How many students are they
Well,
transporting?
Well, if you count in, at least Lakewood is 30,000.
Okay, that's, it's used.
Yeah. Oh, no, and Jackson's, I think, is around 5,000.
I believe so.
5,000, and Toms
Significant.
River is climbing, I would say 2,000 or 3,000, maybe
Around sea
more.
level.
Yeah.
That's significant. Okay. And then I had another question, just for a little bit of clarity on page 6. You had it's indicated here, must meet all state and federal standards and requirements specific to the vehicle and in accordance with the transported student's IEP. What exactly are you
So,
referring to?
if a student's IEP requires them to be transported in a certain way, i.e. nurse, wheelchair, any of the, yeah, so if you were transporting a special needs student with an IEP and the IEP indicates that there has to be special requirements for transportation, that has to be accomplished. They have to provide for the IEP.
Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for clarifying.
Thank you. Board Member Bennett?
Board Member Pena's questions about the consortium number and about the IEP and services for those youngsters being transported were my 2 questions. So thank you, Jeanette.
Great, nice. Thank you.
Wow. That was an easy one.
Does the district supply that transportation for those students that you mentioned, the 5,000 and the 30,000?
No, the consortium does that.
The
The
consortium.
consortium, and it's only non-public. It's only non-public students.
I see. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. I believe Dr. Butcher has another question.
I have my hand up as
Tell me
well.
about the process for the smaller vehicles.
Thank you.
Does the district assign students to a particular vehicle?
That's up to the district.
Okay.
That's not stipulated in our regulations. In other words, if the coach of the volleyball team wants to use their car to transport the children, the volleyball players, they would have to be an assigned driver and have to go through all the criteria they would have to have the driving record checked. I mean, more likely than not, they're a teacher.
Okay.
But would have had the criminal history background. So the district has to designate who's going to drive. You can't just say, okay, Alan, get in the car and drive somebody.
So can parents say, no, I don't want my child to drive in that vehicle. I don't want my children to go with that particular person. How does that
Well,
play out?
so the regulations don't address that, but that would be the parent going to the superintendent and saying, I don't want the volleyball coach driving my kid, my
Yeah.
child.
Yeah, my interest is more in the safety and reliability of the vehicle as opposed to the driver.
All it has to do is pass inspection.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Arcilio Aponte, your hand is up. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm surprised to hear that there's only one consortium in the state. And besides providing the service, I would imagine there's an opportunity to reduce cost as well. And so why, and I would also, I guess, assume that smaller school districts may want to offer or participate in a consortium so that they could reduce their operating costs. So is there an opportunity to reduce cost and provide just a higher level of service? This is my question.
Past President Aponte, we missed your statement. If you could please repeat it, sir.
Okay, let's just try this again. So
Thank you.
as I mentioned, I was surprised to hear that there's only one consortium. And I would imagine that the benefits of the consortium would be delivering services, but also reducing operating cost. So I'm wondering why public school districts, particularly the smaller ones, are not taking advantage of the opportunity for consortium or participating in consortium to reduce their operating costs and potentially improve upon services. So the question is whether or not, there's an opportunity to reduce costs here in some of the smaller school districts.
So I think it's an excellent question, and that's the reason that the law was passed. This is a pilot to see expansion. So the current consortium that exists was created under a prior law, and so this is really building on that model, seeking what an expansion across the state might look like. So this is really the beginning of that process to see what it might look like if we try this in other areas. Exactly to your point, to see what other benefits, whether they're cost savings or provision of services where we might not be able to provide it elsewise. So that is exactly kind of the design of this, is to try this out under this pilot program.
Great.
Thank you. Other comments or questions at this time?
So I'll just, sorry, I see Dr. Johnson has a question. Just going back to the vehicle part of, and I just want to take a step back because this law was passed under the auspice of significant shortages that we were facing on both school buses and school bus drivers in recent history. So this is really to address those needs and focusing in on what's available, essentially. So building out current regulations that allow for after-school activities. This would add in limited circumstances where to and from school could be added. And I think this is intended to be with, input from parents that are impacted, to your point previously. So I appreciate those concerns. And this is kind of what we're trying to address this while taking into account, some limitations. So this is not just a wide open program.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Dr. Johnson, Vice President Johnson, your question, please, or comment.
Good morning. Just a quick question in regards to, do you have data on the number of districts that have their own fleets versus subcontracting those services?
Yeah, they do.
We have data we want to look at.
Yeah.
It's about roughly 50-50. So we have data, we can look at the numbers. In most districts, it's a combination, actually. They might do, they might operate their own fleet for the purposes of their public school students and then contract out for non-public school students or students who have special transportation needs, such as those going to a private school for students with disabilities or a county vocational school district. But probably roughly half of school districts have at least some amount of in-district provided transportation.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions at this time? Again, public testimony in April. Jack has a question. I didn't see his hand. Oh, Jack, sir. But what I was going to say is, and let me just finish that thought, please, that next month, that will be part of the public testimony for people about the transportation. This is just the first public discussion that we're having. Jack, would you like to ask or make a comment? You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Does the regulation require defensive driving on a yearly or every other year training so that you know that the drivers are sharp enough to perform the services that are safety that will protect the children, et cetera, et cetera? Do you have that in that program?
The defensive driving course or program is not required in this regulation.
Can you tell me why not?
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think just to clarify, so this is building out really the framework that was this is a law that passed.
Yeah.
This is just fleshing that out. So if we were to add that, that would add an additional requirement beyond the statutory requirement. So that would not, that's not allowed essentially in a requirement, in a regulation, to add such a substantive additional requirement that goes beyond the statutory requirement.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you for the question. Any other questions or comments at this time? Seeing none. Thank you very much
Thank you
for
board
the
members.
discussion.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's the items for consideration, rather.
Thank you. And now I'd like to please ask for a motion to adjourn. Thank you. I hear Dr. Butcher first, and a second from Board Member Pena, please. Second from Board Member Pena. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. We're voting to end the meeting. Okay. Any abstentions? The meeting now closes. Thank you. Have a very safe month and be careful in the weather that's coming here. Thank you.